welcome to Busted Speakers and to another episode of What's the Best Track On. I'm Ed.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Cam.
And this time we're going to be discussing what we think is the best track on Fleetwood Mac's seminal album Rumours. Even though Peter Green was not involved in the band at this point, he was a founding member. And the thing that kind of... initially I had a different pick for this episode. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm probably going to use it in future. But yeah, just seeing the news that Peter Green had passed away kind of got me thinking about Fleetwood Mac again and got me on a big kick with their music, especially this album, which I only actually got into this year, but it's already cemented itself, certainly as one of my favourite albums, and I feel like it wouldn't be unfair to say that you guys love it as well.
Yeah, I've loved it for like 6 years, almost as long as I've been a fan of music. Fleetwood Mac are pretty much now seen as any genre a go-to band to just check out when you're getting into music, right?
Yeah, you know, pop, rock, all sorts, country type influence stuff.
Blues rock for the early Peter Green stuff. I guess like 80s synth pop covers the Tango in the Night era.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is, you know, another favourite for a lot of people, from what I heard. I haven't actually got that far yet. But anyway, this album in particular, I feel like, is their most celebrated. And with that in mind, it's also an incredibly difficult album to decide on just one track from, I'd say. So I'm sorry for putting you guys through the gauntlet again with this one. Because I feel like Illinois was bad enough, but on this album, there's just so many good songs and so many, you know, perfectly viable picks for not just best song on the album, but just one of the best songs of the 70s in general, or
best
maybe
songs
ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, Illinois is like, what, an hour? So this is like under half or just about half the length of it.
That is true.
Daunting.
Yeah, that is true, but I'd say on a track-to-track ratio, that more of this album is, like, potentially viable than Illinois, where there's a ton of interstitial songs and, you know, a lot of repeated ideas, I guess. Whereas here, there's a lot of variety.
I feel like you could get people arguing almost every song and kind of understand.
Definitely. I don't think there's a single song on here that I don't like anyway. There's definitely weaker ones, and there's definitely a few select tracks that I'd say are my absolute highlights. But yeah, the point of this show is that we've got to narrow it down to one per person, and if there's any overlap there, we shall see. Maybe we'll finally have a coveted full agreement between all three of us, but probably
not. It's only been 2 versus 1 so far.
So yeah, let's get on with it. Alex, what's your pick for the best track on Rumours?
Yep, so, like you say, there's tons of the best songs of the 70s just on here. Could be called, like, just greatest hits of Fleetwood Mac, which is kind of funny because they have about 20 others, but yeah, you can distill it to a lot of songs on here. I mean, yeah, there's 8 or 9 classics at least. I'd say the quality level is consistent throughout, so I kind of went for one that has been a favourite for years now, and is just one that whenever I hear it come on the radio, I guess I already shown it's not a complete album cut there, but whenever I hear it come on, I'm just like, yes, get in, what a tune. So it is Go Your Own Way, which
nice.
Such an obvious choice, I know, but maybe not because there's so many. Okay, so this is track 5 on the album. And I know the album is considered like soft rock, or at least soft pop rock. But the songs before this are kind of more subdued country pop tunes. Like, yeah, Secondhand News has a bit of energy to it. But you get Dreams, which is a really nice soft rock song. Never Going Back Again is kind of a folk pop, really excellent acoustic ditty. And Don't Stop is a pretty good mid-tempo pop song. Go Your Own Way injects so much adrenaline to the album, and it's such a great pop rock song at its core. Sounds so feel-good and optimistic in sound, but it's actually kind of disguising how Lindsey Buckingham, who wrote it, is quite dealing with the breakup with Stevie Nicks quite harshly, severing all ties. You could say Dreams, which is Stevie Nicks' song, almost extending an olive branch compared to this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Honestly, it's the guitar playing that really sets this apart from the others. And that's not to say the other band members don't provide a lot of really good parts here. Mick Fleetwood on the drums is really good. I think this is actually some of his best playing ever. John McVie's really good on the bass as well. But yeah, those guitar solos from Buckingham, Lindsey Buckingham here, especially in the very last minute. I've never heard him shred like that anywhere else, really. I know there will be examples of quite close, even on some songs on this album, but it's so good, and when you consider it's double-tracked acoustic and electric guitars, there's a lot going on here for what is arguably one of the most famous pop rock songs ever. There's a lot going on here. So Stevie sings backing vocals on this, and it must be kind of hard for her performing it live to sing backing vocals since the song's directed directly at her, you know. So yeah, I don't know. This is my favourite by far. Only problem I have with it is I would love if it just faded out with the solos, but the chorus does come in at the very end again, so I don't know. I just would have preferred it to fade out on the solos, but what a song. It's my favourite.
You'd rather just have them kind of ride it out rather than bring it back to that chorus.
The solos squeal. They really... It's like layers upon layers getting added. And I think it would have been more powerful just to end it on that, but the chorus kind of ends it on a slightly positive note. But these guitar solos sound angry. They really show how he was feeling more than the vocals.
I completely get what you mean. Yeah, like it is building up to that moment.
They pretty much are at the end anyway, and it's getting faded out. But I don't know. It's not a big problem. Great song, but there's so many here.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good pick. Yeah, it's definitely one of my absolute favourites as well, but I'm going to say it's not my pick. But
Okay,
before we
so
get
we're not
on to
getting
that, Cam,
Yeah.
what's your pick for the best track on Rumours?
Yeah, so I also didn't pick Go Your Own Way. So yeah, sorry, we didn't have any chance of a clean sweep with this one.
That's good,
Damn
though.
it.
I mean,
Yep.
we'll get it one day, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not, though.
If we ever do, we're just going to be like reiterating each other and it'll be the shortest episode.
Yeah.
That or we're just going to keep tripping over each other, agreeing with each other. I know, right? And what about, oh yeah, that, yep. So, alright, so yeah, this is an album that I've had for years, I've liked it for years, but kind of like with Let It Be by the Replacements, this is, I didn't really, like, totally open up to it until sitting down to listen to it for discussion with you guys. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
Yep.
no problem.
But like even before going into it, I had at least I'd say 4 picks all from the first half of the album that I thought it was going to be like, you know, a battle royale between those 4, and then it actually ended up being I don't know, not necessarily a total underdog story, but just like maybe, you know, my number 6 seed. But yeah, I mean, like, there's like absolutely, you know, undeniable pop masterpieces on this album. And I think one of the biggest strengths of the album is that you wouldn't necessarily know that there's like all this, you know, romantic turmoil going on behind the scenes just from listening to the songs. At least like casually, you know, if you're paying a little more attention, you might be able to pick up on some stuff. But you can totally listen to, you know, Secondhand News and Dreams and Don't Stop, and you wouldn't know that there was, like, you know, relationship problems fueling those songs.
Just quickly, because that's why I said on Go Your Own Way, it's like it's disguising how he's feeling, because it feels kind of upbeat in song feeling, but it's like if you're just listening to it, you wouldn't know what was going on necessarily.
Yeah.
It seems to be like a principle of a lot of pop music, where they'll package more turbulent feelings and thoughts into a more digestible, you know, musical package. But like here, it's like very specifically like turbulence that is happening within the band. So it's kind of an interesting album for that, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so there are 2 songs on here that I think are like the most straightforward about their emotions. I think You Make Loving Fun is, you know, it's the only one that really feels like it's happy, which, I mean, to be fair, most of the other songs are about the, cheating and breakups that are going on, and even You Make Loving Fun kind of is, but at least it's like an acknowledgement that somebody is happy in all this, and that's not my pick either. The other one that I think is the most straightforward, the one that like shows the most clearly shows the dark feelings that really fuel this album, I have to give it to The Chain.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, I didn't expect that one to be my selection, but I mean, it is kind of Fleetwood Mac's signature, if not necessarily one of their biggest hits, because like at least one of their big greatest hits box set things is named after The Chain.
I honestly think that's the most famous from this album.
Oh, you think so?
Other than maybe I know Don't Stop in Dreams, but I swear I hear that. Obviously it's more the bass second half part, which I hear more.
The bass line is incredibly memorable, and I think it's used in a BBC Six music program. So that, I don't know if you heard that, Alex.
And it's also used in Formula One montages
that's
by
true.
the BBC.
Yeah.
You just hear it everywhere, just subconsciously. But yeah, good pick, Kim.
Yeah, and like I said, it just really is, I think, the main song that if you're not necessarily paying attention to everything, this one will stand out to you and be like, wow, there's something, kind of dark running through this album.
Yeah.
And it's just such an anguished, angry song. You got the dobro that opens it up, and I looked it up. It is actually a dobro this time, because we usually confuse it with a banjo.
So honestly, just thought it was a acoustic guitar fin, but
yeah,
it sounded like nylon string to me, but maybe it's
Yeah.
a nylon string dobro.
I don't know. So and then the group vocals, I don't know if I should have done more research on who's actually singing everything, but
it's all three of them, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it sounds like it. Surprisingly, it's also the only song from the album with writing credits for all 5 members at the time. But yeah, just like hearing all of them singing together, yeah, I mean, it just feels like they're all shouting at each other, basically, but it sounds beautiful, It's like if your neighbors had arguments like this, you'd be okay with them yelling at each other all the time.
It's because their anger or just restless feelings, a lot of them at each other, they all feed into this song, by far.
Yeah. That's really
I'd say
weird.
as well, it's great that it's kind of slap bang in the middle of the track list, because it feels like the kind of feelings and all the anguish and emotions are sort of building up and sizzling until this point where you could say this is like the most cathartic track for the band members. And then after this song, I feel like the album kind of calms down a little and gets a lot more reflective in tone.
It feels like the climax, the release, that song, yep.
It's one of the reasons why this is such a great album, because you can take all of these individual songs on their own and love them entirely on their own merits, but even the sequencing of, how it goes from one song to another and like just the overall trajectory of the track list is really cool in how it, explores those themes, I think.
An underrated aspect to that song, I feel like, is the steady tempo Mick Fleetwood provides during the verses.
Mm-hmm.
It has kind of like an old western feel to it. I don't know if you guys feel that.
Yeah, combine that with the dobro, definitely. It's an underrated aspect of drumming, drumming slowly, keeping a steady beat, because if that falls apart, do another take, because that's crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, moving on from there, my favourite song from Rumours is actually The Chain as well.
Yay!
So we may as well
I thought
just
it might be, because you were saying earlier you were trying the bass part to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if it wasn't my track pick, I feel like that would have been the case though, because it's like I said, there's
worth
so
trying
many.
That is one of the iconic bass parts.
Yeah,
in
it's
all of
actually
music.
very easy to play, but it's doesn't take away how great it is. And yeah, that's an aspect of the song that I absolutely love. But like I said, it's slap bang in the middle of the album, so it functions really effectively as like a centerpiece to the album, both thematically and just in terms of its overall structure. Also because it's very ambitious and grandiose compared to the softer, more mid-tempo songs like Dreams. In a sense, I feel like they definitely put the most into this song in a way. So if we're going to get all cold and objective, then I feel like it's a good pick for best track. But it just happens to be the one I enjoy the most as well, and that's the metric that I judge these things on. But yeah, it has that killer bass line. I really love the build on it. Pretty much everything that Cam mentioned, I agree with. And I really love how the chorus is just repeated with increased intensity. It's kind of subtle, like just, the velocity at which they're spewing out the "if you don't love me now, you don't love me again," that little mantra. It just like builds in intensity as the instrumental builds up before eventually it breaks down into this, second half bass line. And it's just a great song. But what amazes me about it is, despite it being definitely the most sort of grandiose song on the album, it's only just over 4 minutes, which is kind of insane. Like, I feel like maybe it's because of the build-up of, the feelings on this album up until that point, that this feels like it's part of a much bigger thing. But even just listening to it in isolation in preparation for this, I was just continually amazed by how short it is compared to how long it feels, like in a good way.
It feels like it could have reached the 4-minute mark, like the whole song before the bass part comes in.
Yeah, because like you say, it's very slow paced. It has like a very slow tempo 4/4 kick pattern for the verses, and it takes its time, or at least relative to the length of the song, but. Yeah, it's just great. Like, brevity, Fleetwood Mac understands it, and they know that making a song like this length, packing so many good ideas into it, makes it really fun to revisit and just really enjoyable through and through.
I would actually say it doesn't really rival it in terms of packing in so much, but on a sort of dramatic... what did you exactly say about it? It's the most...
I guess it's like a moment of catharsis, like where all the stuff that's building up to it
said something
is
like
kind of paid off.
It's the most something track on the album. It's the
most
specific
ambitious,
word.
Maybe.
Yeah, because like I feel like it doesn't go quite as far, but Gold Dust Woman does have quite a lot of dramatic, interesting sections to it as well.
That's true. Especially the long sort of washed out outro.
Cathartic as The Chain, to be fair.
Yeah. I just feel like The Chain is a lot more succinct than Gold Dust Woman.
True. The Chain was also the song I was specifically thinking of if you're looking for more top shredding from Lindsey Buckingham. He does do that on the outro as well. And to be fair, I did think Go Your Own Way is like an early favourite that could get upgraded to The Chain, like with more advanced listenings. I have felt that way for a while, and I've always thought The Chain will probably end up being my eventual favourite here. And I will say, you won't believe how close I was to choosing The Chain. It was my second pick after Go Your Own Way.
Yeah, well, Go Your Own Way was my second pick before The Chain.
There we go.
So, like, yeah.
And it was You Make Lovin' Fun your second pick, Cam?
No, that I just mentioned that one as, one of the most, emotionally cards on the table songs on the album.
But yeah, I'd say there's like, for me at least, there's 4 serious contenders for best song on here, which are Dreams, Go Your Own Way, The Chain, and Never Going Back Again, I'd say. I know that's one of the simpler songs, but I just love it a lot.
Exact same 4 for me, pretty much.
Yeah.
Might add Songbird in there because it is a really lovely ballad.
Yeah, Songbird is pretty great.
But
the whole album's just great. I don't really know what else I can add for my pick because Cam kind of went through most of it. So
the thing is with The Chain, and I hate to be like this guy because I hate whenever I hear people say this online because it sort of devalues how good the studio versions are. But there is a live version of The Chain from about 1982. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Nope.
No.
It's actually, I think, got more views than the studio version, and it is amazing. They're screaming at each other. They're completely Stevie wails at the end of the choruses. The soloing at the end is like 10 times more crazy than here. Lindsay's vocals are completely coked out of his mind, but they're pretty amazing too.
Wow.
It almost makes this version seem a little bit tame, and that's not fair to say, really, because we're judging the songs. I just feel like Go Your Own Way was kind of maximized enough here, and I just feel like it goes really, really great towards the end with the solo in, so yeah, that's why I chose that one.
It's very close for me, for sure. Like I said, those 4 songs are very close, but yeah, thanks for mentioning that live version, because I'll definitely have to look into that. I think on the Sufjan episode, I mentioned the live version of the Predatory Wasp song that I picked that kind of made it fully click for me, so maybe I'll like The Chain even more after hearing that. Maybe less. I don't know.
Maybe less too. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy, drugged out version, but it kind of invigorates the core maybe meanings of why the song exists, and like makes it really heated. And that was on the Mirage tour, I guess, if it was 82.
At that point, those feelings would have bubbled up, way beyond the album, so it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us on this episode of Busted Speakers and What's the Best Track On. We'd like to know what you think the best song on Rumours is, because, there's a lot of viable options there, a lot of potential for some good discourse around it. Just don't get angry at us for our picks, it is just our opinions. And yeah, thanks for listening. Hit like and subscribe if you want to do that. Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at _BustedSpeakers, and you can find Cam on Twitter at @subprospector, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.